Unit 10.9, inverse trig functions. Find three angles whose sine is 1/2. Express these three angles in degrees and radians. So as you can see, we have 30 degrees, which gives us 1/2 as the sine value. 150 degrees also gives us sine of 1/2. All right, anything more would have to be coterminal, right? So just add 360 to 30, you get 390. Now to express these as radians, we have pi over 6 radians and 5 pi over 6 radians over here. How do we change 390? Well, you can just add 2 pi to pi over 6. Look for a common denominator. We end up with 13 pi over 6. As you can see from the do now, we ended up with 3 possible answers, and actually there's an infinite possible answers for angles that result in sine of 1/2. That is not truly a function. In order to make that a function, we need to restrict the domain of our inverse trigonometric functions. So, as you can see here with our unit circle, sine, inverse sine will be restricted to negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. In other words, that's negative 90 degrees to positive 90 degrees. All right, so there's inverse sine, also known as arc sine. And whenever the question is, what is the principal value of the inverse of sine? That is referring to the value within this restricted domain. Okay? Same thing for inverse cosine. It is synonymous with arc cosine. Same thing with inverse tangent. It is synonymous with arctan. And notice how the arc cosine domain is restricted to 0 to pi radians, or 0 to 180 degrees. And inverse tangent is the same restriction as inverse sine. Okay, let's take a look at this example. If sine is negative radical 2 over 2 and cosine is positive radical 2 over 2, the measure of angle x is what? Now, just based on the knowledge of the signs of our quadrants, all students take calculus, you should be able to figure this out based on your answer choices. Because answer choice 1 is in quadrant 1, this is in quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Now we know that quadrant 4 has sine of negative and cosine of positive. So just based on that, we know the answer must be answer choice 4, 315 degrees. All right. Another way you could have done this is put this in your calculator. Okay, the inverse sine of radical 2 over 2 is negative 45. So as you can see here, 315 degrees is the same thing as negative 45 degrees. Okay, but you have to be careful because if you plug in cosine, inverse cosine of radical 2 over 2, it's going to give you the principal value, which is 45 degrees up in quadrant 1, because the calculator doesn't realize that you have this other restriction that the sine must be negative, so it's down here. Okay, number 2, here we want to express theta to the nearest minute. So we know that the sine of theta is 0.5035, so that means we need to do the inverse sine of both sides if you want to solve this algebraically. So, plug it in the calculator, we get 30.23, etc., etc. Let's change it to DMS by hitting second apps. You access the angle feature. Option 4 gives us DMS. And as you can see, you must round up the minute to 14. The answer is 30 degrees, 14 minutes, because 54 seconds out of 60 possible seconds is definitely greater than half. Here's the answer to number 3. Number 4. So sometimes the answer choices will be in radians. So you have to switch. If you choose to use your calculator, you have to switch in radian mode. So here we're looking for arc sine of 1, so let's go ahead and draw our unit circle, and we're looking for the angle that gives me a sine of 1, which is 90 degrees, or in radians would be pi over 2 radians. So basically it's 2 times pi over 2. And 2 times pi over 2 is pi. The answer is 3. If you were to put this in the calculator, it needs to be in radian mode. And as you can see, your answer is 3.14159, which is pi. Number 5. Again, we're drawing the same picture. What is arc sine of 1? Well, that's 90 degrees. What is the tangent of 90 degrees? You must remember that tangent is really sine over cosine. It's sine of 90 divided by cosine of 90, which is 1 divided by 0. Can you divide by 0 in math? No, you cannot. The answer is undefined. And we can confirm this in our calculator when we take the tan of inverse sine of 1, we get an error message which confirms our answer of undefined. All right, number 6. We're looking for the angle that gives us a tangent of 1. So you need to remember, tangent is sine divided by cosine. Well, radical 2 over 2 divided by radical 2 over 2 gives us 1. It's the exact same thing. So 45 degrees must be the angle that this is talking about. So the question really is, what is sine of 45 degrees? Well, the sine of 45 degrees is the y value. So the answer is radical 2 over 2. If you were to choose to do this in the calculator, you end up with a decimal approximation, 0.707. And to confirm that we got the right answer, let's go ahead and plug radical 2 over 2 in the calculator. And as you can see, it's a match. Number 7, what is the measure of the angle in the triangle below? So here we have, they give us the 2 sides and the angle of perspective. So we must recognize that this is the adjacent, this is the hypotenuse according to the angle of perspective. So we're going to use cosine. We must find the value of theta, so we have to take the inverse cosine of both sides. If you forget to change it to radian, or change it out of radian mode to degree mode, you'll get this answer. This is wrong. And the reason why you know it has to be in degrees is because all your answer choices are in degrees. So the correct answer is 56.9. So number 7, they gave you a drawing of a triangle. Number 8, you have to create your own triangle based on this information here. All right, what angle gives you a cosine of -3/5? Well, here's what I almost said unit circle. It's not a unit circle because the radius is 5, because that's the hypotenuse. Because I know cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, it's -3 over 5. I know it must be in quadrant 2 because cosine is negative. So we need to find the missing side of this triangle. We can use the Pythagorean theorem, or you can realize that this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Okay? So basically, we need to know what the tangent of this angle is. And because we know the opposite and the adjacent, we just substitute, we get -4/3. And that's the answer. If you chose to do this on the calculator, you type it all in just like this, you end up with -1.3 repeating. You confirm that this is really -4/3 by typing it into your calculator, and you get a match. Good luck to you.